Hello, everybody. Welcome to another day of Litmas. It's extremely late right now, and I have just finally finished making a present for you all. As you guys know, I love spreadsheets. I love tracking my reading on spreadsheets, and I have made a new spreadsheet for 2025 for all of you to use, should you choose to. This is very customizable, so I'll be going over a lot of that. You can curate it to however it works for you. I have made extras of different styles of a few things, just a couple. But if any of these tabs on here that you don't want to use, you can just delete them and it'll be fine. But it's intense, and because I'm an intense person, that's what's happening. So without further ado, let me introduce to you the 2025 reading spreadsheet. Here is the reading tracker. This is your year tracker for whatever you're reading in 2025. I did simplify it a little bit. I added some other things to different spreadsheets so that it's not so cluttered on this one. Granted, it's still a lot. I can't help myself. But any columns you don't want, just delete them. So we have our title, our author, our month read, our pages, our hours, our rating. I did update this to have half and quarter stars at the 3. I don't think a lot of people use quarter stars at the lower, so I didn't add those there, but I did add them later. The genres, I decided to combine the main and the sub. So there's fantasy romance, hard sci-fi, mystery thriller, all these different ones. You can easily add more if you want to. It won't affect anything. Just add another item and you're good to go. The intended audience, I've done children's, middle grade, young adult, new adult, and adult. The formats, I've added a few. We've got novel, novella, short story, graphic novel, anthology, verse and poems. Not that you can see that. Hold on. There we go. Verse and poems, manga, and comic. I decided to separate those two. Then I added the cover color. You can see what kind of books you're reading. I thought it was a fun graphic, so I've added a bunch here. You can do multicolor if you can't decide. Multicolor. There you go. But we've got the Roy G. Biv. We've got teal in here. If you want to go in and make it even more specific, you can. But it might be necessary for her kid too, I'm just saying. Source material, this is how you're reading it, your format you're reading it in. The paperback, the hardcover, audiobook, ebook. I did listen, and I had some people who suggested doing multis, so physical and audio, ebook and audio, just to help. We've got your series title, your series number, your series status. We have a just started, so this is when you have a number 1, in progress, up to publication. You finished it. It's a prequel. It's an interlude, like a 0.5 kind of thing, or you DNF'd it. We have the countries. We have states, whatever you want to do. You can also check if it's a non-Earth setting, if you don't want to add those things. The year you acquired it, the release year, you can just type it in. Again, I put imprint and publisher. If you only want to do the main publisher, just delete the imprint. I put Penguin, HarperCollins, Macmillan, Hachette, Simon Schuster. These are the big 5. Then I put self-published, and then I put independent press as a different one, because sometimes it's not, it's hard to tell between them, but for the most part, self-published will say the name of the author, unless they have their own LLC. But, that's only if you want to go deep. We have 7 Seas, which is a lot of manga, and the Danmei stuff that's been coming out a lot. DC and Marvel Comics, and Amazon, because they've been publishing. Acquisition means is how you got it. These are just a few examples. Again, you can go in and add them. Acquisition meaning how you read it as well. You didn't necessarily acquire it on Libby, but you listened it through Libby. So then we have your price. If you paid money for it, it automatically converts to US dollars. If you need to change that, you have to change your entire settings, I think, in your board. I think this guy. Yeah. Change your locale, and then you can change it to whatever currency you want it to be. We have the date started, the date finished, and this will calculate the days read. Then you can mark if you read it for whatever readathon you were doing and what prompt it was for, and then the points earned this is your book buying points, unless you want to make it something else, which we will get to that spreadsheet in a moment. Okay? Okay. Next up, I made a 25 in 2025 TBR. I know a lot of you are going to be doing this, so there you go. You have a not started, in progress, completed. When you do a completed, oh, look at that. That's a progress bar. Who doesn't love a progress bar? And then this little guy here is tracking how many in total you have completed. Okay? Q. You can put the cover in here. You can just insert it by doing insert image. Insert an image in the cell. There you go. I've done that a lot. So I've done 25 squares here. You can also change this to more. You will need to change this total here because this guy right here is affecting your spark line, your progress bar. And then you'll need to change. No, that's it. That's it. That's all you'll need to change is this number here if you're doing a bigger or a smaller TBR in 2025, if you want to do that. Then, so if you notice on the year tracker, I didn't do all the authors and stuff because I decided to put that in its own spreadsheet. So who am I reading? So this is just a little bit more in depth of, you can see who you're actually reading. I hope you guys enjoyed. The authors are all my dog's names and my sister's cat. But you could put their ethnicity, their nationality. You don't have to put these things in if you don't know. And I don't want anyone to like harass an author into, telling them what they are and stuff. Not like that. This is just for like, if you happen to know if it's in their profile, then you can put it in. Same with like their sexual orientation, their gender identity. That is like, I have an undisclosed marker for that. So if you don't happen to know and they didn't disclose it, you can track it that way. Status, you can do a debut, a new to me, or somebody you've read before. And then the publication status, you have trad, hybrid, indie, or self-pub. I know indie and self-pub, a lot of them, we use them interchangeably, but if you want to be more specific, if it's an independent press person versus a self-published person, you can do that. And of course, we've got some nice graphs for you to look at. This is the theme. I don't know if you guys could tell that there's a theme, but it's like green. I've been in a green. I feel like 2025 is green. I don't know why. Okay. Just like this, I have done a character tracker. So now you can kind of see if you want to track your characters, you can track ones and see how common their name is. Again, ethnicity, nationality, the hair color, the eye color, the body type, the mental disability, the physical disability, if they have them, the sexual orientation, the gender identity, even the religion, if you so desire to track that. And then you have all the graphs as well. And you got down here is your name frequency. So if you're like, you know what, this name is really common, there you go. You can just kind of look at it. It's a stat that I personally enjoy. Again, if you're like, I hate this, delete it. And we also have a narrator tracker. So if you're listening to a lot of audiobooks, and let's say there's multiple narrators, you can't enter that data line to line here. You have to go down. So you can put whatever book it is multiple times. You could even merge these into one thing. And then put, all the different voice actors here. And so you can track the frequency that you've heard that narrator. You can also put the type of audiobook in, if it's just one narrator, if it's two narrators, if it's a duet style, multi-POV. So like each narrator, each POV has its own thing, or a full cast where it's like interacting like a play, sort of. Then you can put it that way. I have a little graph for that guy, for the audiobook style. But just a simple thing, if you want to track it. If you don't, right click, delete, people. Then I have made some monthly TBRs. I did go all the way to December. I have given you about 30 spaces here. You don't have to use them all. This will sum no matter what you do. You put whatever prompt you're doing. If you have a prompt, again, you can leave it blank. The book, how many pages it is, the status, if it's completed. Let's say it's 364. And now it will tell you a percentage here of how many total pages. So let's say I added 520. And so this one's still pending. Whatever you mark completed, this baby will change and tell you your percentage done for that month. Crazy, isn't it beautiful? I know. I love it. You want to you want to scroll all the way, you can just take these columns and you're like, I don't want to see them, hide. Now you can just look at February and hide them if you just want to see one per month. You don't have to leave them fully all sitting out like this unless you want to compare and contrast. Okay. Now we're on the book buying points. Now you can curate this to however you want to do, if you want to reward yourself or just ignore this entire thing. I personally like to do this to curb my spending, and it's also kind of a reward for myself. I've upgraded it a bit, but you can fill in whatever prompt you want to do, whatever point level you want, and as you fill in the frequency, it will calculate all these things. All right, so let's say we've done one there. Cool. So now you've earned 12 points. You've not earned a full book yet because the goal is to get to 100 points before you can buy a book. Then you can track what book you bought, what you got with this point system, and the price, and you can see how much money you ended up actually spending if you so desire. Okay, you can do negative points for whatever I like. My late ARC reads I think are a punishment. Anything I read is 1 to 2 stars. I give myself a punishment. You don't have to use those. You can use whatever prompts you want, and it'll do it. All right, so this is your ARC tracker. So if you're like me, you have a lot of NetGalley ARCs, you can throw them all in here and keep track of them. So, for example, we've got whatever title, author, easy. You can put the release date in here, and these are all formatted to react to the day. Granted, this is formatted in an American month, day, year. I'm sorry to everybody across the pond. You'll have to reformat it yourself if you want to do it the other way. But anything that is within the next week will be orange. Anything that is in the next, in the month, let's change this to unread, will be yellow. So it's it's coming up. Oh, it's getting more dangerous. And then if it's due today, it's this bright red. And then if you've passed the date, it'll be this lighter red. This purple will change. It'll change to be if it's red, past due. And then if you've read it on time, it'll make things green. So that'll it's a nice little way to visualize what you need to read, what you've already done, kind of stuff. So I have an unread past due, read on time, read past due, and then an in progress. So if you're still reading it, you can mark off if you've actually done your review, your rating. This will give you your average rating overall. This gives you your percentage of unread and unread past due, how well you're doing that. And then this is basically your NetGalley ratio. It's pulling from how many you've received and how many you've read from that. So you can actually see your ratio without logging into NetGalley. There you go. Next up, 2025 releases. I didn't put any random stuff in here. It's pretty simple. But let's say you've got January and it's on the 1st and you've got this book. So now your total is marking here. Your format's hardcover. So this is going to do that. Depending on how you want it, you can mark if you want to pre-order it, your status, if it's requested, if you received, if you got it from a gift, if you've read it, if you reviewed it. Pretty simple. So this right here is all your stats you've ever wanted in 2025. We have our overall stuff. So we have your total books read, the total pages read, the hours listened, how many you've acquired, how much money you've spent this year, the average amount of time it took you to read a book, your average rating, average page length, average hours, the shortest book that you've read, the longest book you've read, the shortest audiobook you've listened to, and the longest audiobook you've listened to. Don't you love the names? They're great. Then we just have a bunch of fun pie charts here. We've got your genres, your formats, your audience, your publisher, your series, how you read them, how you acquired them, I guess, your publication year, your author status, your cover colors are right here, your how many books you've read each month is going to be here, and your authors. This is going to be your full author list here. Of course, we've got the map back at it again. Everybody loves a map. There's your stats. Woo! Then we have the worst thing that you guys saw me fighting with, but it's finished and beautiful, is your monthly side-by-side comparison. So if you want to see, just a variety of stats just together, You know, you can find out like which month did you read the most novels in, or which one did you finish the most series. You can kind of easily at a glance see that for your audience, your publication, your publisher. I didn't do as much as the stats page itself has. This would be a little bit more simple, but if you want to add more to it, you're welcome to it. You can pretty much use the base of whatever these formulas are to create more, but that's as much as I wanted to do. But it's done. Then I do have a pre-order tracker for you. So even though the other page has, did you pre-order it? You can use that for past ones. This is for your current 2025 pre-order. You can also use this for ones you've done in the past just to see if you've read them or not. So you have your total that you've done. This is just counting your books, how many you've read, and the total cost you spent on those pre-orders. You can track where you pre-ordered from. You can see the release date, when the pre-order date opens, because I know some like subscription boxes will be like, this is when the early release date is. You can keep it on your mind if you want. And then go and pre-order on the day it releases so that you don't miss out. We have your status, if you've ordered it, if it's shipped, if you've read it, if it's pending, like you're in limbo for when like that release for pre-orders is out. That's kind of what the pending function's for. And if you've received it, you put in your cost here, and you can see the status overall and where you're getting your pre-orders from overall. Next up is readathons. You can see the readathon month, how many days that readathon is, the title of it, and any notes. So if you want to put a link to the video, or if there's other special things, if you're on a team, you can put notes in here. Then I just made some very simple readathon trackers. You can, if you're going to do more than what I've put here, you can just, copy it and paste it, and it'll still track everything. You can put the name of the readathon here, your prompt, how many points it is, if it's a point-based prompt, the book you read, how many points you earned. This one's more important than this one, because this is what's going to filter into that. So let's say it was 50 or 540 points because of my fat fingers. That'll tell you how much here. And then your completed track is going to be this. You might have to change depending on how many prompts there are, because this number is based on how many columns there are here. So depending on if you need more or less prompts, you will have to change the formula basically to, like, if there's 25 prompts, you're going to need to change it to that. That's it. Change whatever number just on that little tiny slice right here. And that's your readathon guy. Cool. Awesome. Then we have sales. So if you're selling books like me, if you're on Pango, if you're selling on Facebook, or, going to the store and selling, you can track how much money you've made very simply on this one. The month you sold it, the title, how much you sold it for, and where you sold it at. That's what the sold at place is. This will count how many, and this will count how much you got. Very simple. Acquisitions is similar, but a little more. So this is books coming into you by any means. So if you've gotten as a hardcover, paperback, ebook, audiobook, if you guys can see that, sorry. Ebook, audiobook, special edition hardcover, special edition paperback. If you want to differentiate, that'll do it. You can see per month over here, per month, how many acquisitions you've got, where you're getting them from, and what kind of formats you're getting those acquisitions in. You can see, put in the price that you paid, how much the retail price is, and then it'll also calculate how much money you saved if you got them like discounted. So you can see how much money you spent, but you can also see how much money you saved and make yourself feel a little better. I will say, if you delete this page, you will lose a weird stat on your stats page. You will lose the data right here. So if you want to delete that and you don't want to track your acquisitions, you might want to just delete these two guys right here as well, because otherwise they'll just be blank, or they'll probably do an error if you delete the whole page. So this guy is the entire TBR. This is my entire TBR that I'm going to be using. Not obviously, it's fake data right now. But I'm going to be using it for my physical and non-physical TBR, basically every single book that I want to read, which is going to be over like 1,500 books, but that's fine. Just to keep them all in one place. and be able to easily copy paste into the reading tracker when I do read a book. That's kind of where this comes from. So we have the regular stuff: title, author, pages, genres, intended audience, format, source material, series number. This is my reading means. So if I read it on, if I have it on Libby, if I have a physical copy, if I have it on my Kindle or Kobo, or if it's on Everand, or if I go to the library, if I borrow it from a friend or something, that's my reading means. The year I got it, the release year, the imprint, the publisher, the acquisition means. So like this is how I actually like got the book. So it differs a little bit by reading means. So if I was gifted the book, if it was a NetGalley, that kind of stuff. You can do it a little bit more specific here if you so desire. And the price, if you so desire. Not necessary. If you don't want them, delete them. None of these affect any of the stats pages, so you can pick and choose. You can change stuff. Then I have the My Library. So this is just my entire, like whatever books I actually have in my house. If you want to keep track of what books you own, basically the same except for the status, which is read or unread. And then you can just easily see if you've read the book or not. Everything else is pretty much the same on this one. There you go. Then we have a spreadsheet if you just want to do your physical TBR. If you don't want to include the books that you own and have already read, you can do purely a physical TBR. I'm going to use this as well because a part of my TBR game may make me pull like a random number generator from the physical TBR, and I'm going to need my spreadsheet for that. But if you don't want to do anything like that, there you go. So almost exactly the same as the entire TBR. Same thing, release year, imprint. Yeah, I think it's only missing a couple columns. So very, very simple. All three of these are very similar. So you can, I don't know why it keeps highlighting when I click onto the next one. You can, it did it again. Why is it doing that? Every time I go back, it's all highlighted. Weird. All right. But you can interchange or use which ones you feel like it. You can use all of them. I don't care. They won't affect any other stats at all. Okay. Then I have two different things for you. I have a subscription tracker and a different subscription tracker. This is the one I personally use for my Fairy Loots. That's the only subscription box I have. So I will write in the name of the book. And once I've read it, I click it and it turns green. Ta-da. I know not everybody is going to do this. I made it so that there's 4. So in case you have multiple subscriptions, then you can use that for that. The regular version is this guy, which is just you have the book, the author, the month you got it, the year you got it, where the box came from, if it's read or unread. Very simple tracker. So pick and choose what you want to do. I like seeing them in pairs because that's also another lovely prompt in like my TBR game and stuff. So, all right, then we have the series tracker, the glorious series tracker. I'm going to get this guy a little bit smaller so you can fully see him. Series tracker. So you're going to have this number here. You're going to fill it in yourself. This is a fake number right now for me, but you can look at 2025 and see how many series you're in the middle of right now. Put that number there and leave it alone. Then this guy will be tracking your total series that you input into this as the year goes on. And then this guy will track anybody you list as you started it in 2025. So you can see where you were at the beginning of the year and where you came up and how many you added to your TBR. Then we have our trackers for if you finished it, if it's up to publication, if it's in progress, if you DNF the series, if you haven't started the series, and then your percentage complete. Now the percentage complete does count DNFs because you've wiped it. It's basically calculating the percentage that you've taken off of your TBR. So it's basically everybody else finished up to pub and DNF versus you're not started and you're in progress. That's your ratio there. Each individual guy does have its own little progress chart, and you have your status here. That'll affect that. As you check them, I put it up to 20 books. Some I know have more. You can just like kind of insert and add more if you need to, but I just do little check boxes until it's done. La, la, la. And then you're going to put how many books are in the series. As long as you know, you might have to update it. And that's it for the series tracker. Woo! I kind of don't like that that's like that. So hold on, we're going to fix that real quick. There, now it's fully across. I didn't like that part. Then I just imported the regular Herkyed. You can also just like take the one that you have you got already, and you can copy it to an existing spreadsheet and then just throw in what you have so you don't have to change anything. But, you know, if you're a new person and you want to re-input stuff, you can put it here. I've added a few things. So this is my calculating of all the different guys down here. You might have to adjust it to include more. This is my progress bar. You would have to change it to however many books you need to complete Herkyed. Is going to be this number right up here. Then you can also just list what other books you're reading that don't count for Herkyed at all. You can just easily list them right here. It looks like a little post-it. That's what I wanted it to be. Cool. Then if you're doing our Fantasy Bingo goes until February of next year. So I kept the old prompts in, both the regular and hard mode. So you can just throw in. I've been inserting the covers to see what I've got, but then you'll be able to just change this out for the next round of our fantasy if you want to do our fantasy. It's Reddit Fantasy. I don't know if you guys know about our fantasy, but that's one of the trackers you can do for that. It's one of the year-longs. I like to give the year-long readathons their own page. But that's it. We did it. That's the spreadsheet for 2025. It's free. You guys can download it. Just make a copy. I mean, it'll automatically make you make a copy now. But you can get it in the link on this video. It'll be linked in my Ko-fi shop as well. I'm not charging anybody for it. If you want to use this, I would appreciate a donation since I worked many, many, many hours on completing it. But I understand if you don't have the means to do that, that's totally fine. I wanted it to be accessible for everybody. If you want to use it. If you don't want to use it, I don't care. I'm going to use it. I made it mostly for me. So yeah, that's the spreadsheet. And I hope you guys like it. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me on today's episode of Litmas. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Everybody's not the same font. Everybody's not the same font. Everybody's not the same font. And also you're showing grid lines. Don't show those grid lines. Nobody likes the grid lines. They're ugly. I'm fine. So like, you definitely, I didn't do this part. Oh my God, I forgot to do this. Oh yeah.